my brother.
We'd like to welcome you to the BmoreNews morning show. China Terrell, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing fantastic.
Good, good. We've also been joined by a political pundit, Irvin Reed, straight out of Cherry Hill. Good morning, Irvin. How are you?
Cherry Hill. Yeah. I'm doing wonderful, Donnie. Always. We'll see you, my brother.
Now, China, this man has done things politically that I could only dream to accomplish.
All right. I can't wait to hear about it.
Well, before I started, I wanted to pay homage to a mutual mentor.
Actually,
wanted to pay homage to Wayne Carey. Like,
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That man is a genius. And the further we get away from the more genius he becomes to me.
Who was he to you?
I'm not sure.
He was a friend, a mentor. You can't hear me?
It's a little weird.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's okay. Keep going. Like got one of them.
Okay, yeah, he was a friend, a mentor, a leader, and just somebody that I admire. Yeah, he really unbelievable. Yeah, his story is unbelievable. Matter of fact, I'm thinking about writing a book about how to run a campaign and use his campaign as a model to tell people about who Wayne really was.
Why? What would you put in the book? I mean, give me a sample.
Okay, it would two things. One, it would be about running a campaign, especially the relationship between a campaign manager and a candidate, which is smooth, which is almost adversary. And then I would talk about his greatness, some of the things that he did, how he fought for people, especially the little guy. And I'm seeing an article that came out in Maryland Matters that talked about his dream may finally come true. And one of the things Wayne did, he sued the last time it was redistricting. He sued Democrats because the districting was wrong. In Prince George's County, when he was in office, it was a majority African American county. Of the 7 senators, 4 of them were white. And even today, it's with 80% minority county, it's still 4. Now there are 8 districts, and 4 of them are white and 4 minority. So he talked about how the redistricting was drawn incorrectly. And just things like that Wayne did. Wayne understood, politics, and he also stood up for the people. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, Irvin Reed. I think that, Johnny, are you on mute?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
Who do we have like a Wayne Carey today? I think he's freezing up. Are you still there, Irvin?
Of course, Calvin Hawkins. Calvin just became the chair of the Prince George's Council.
Congratulations.
And he actually was a mentee of Wayne Carey. And he and I went to Bowie State together. I just ran his campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's, long story short, China, he's run a number of campaigns here in the state of Maryland, particularly in the DC Prince George's area.
Oh, all right. Fantastic. So what was your favorite campaign to run?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, I guess we should congratulate him.
You said we should congratulate, and then you cut out.
Oh man, they're all different. It's like a child, you know. You love them all.
Right.
I ran Kirk Schmokes. I was managed. Oh yeah, then I'm gone. Yeah, I'm done. Kirk Schmokes was probably the easiest. His last campaign I managed. My mentor is Larry Gibb, run several times. Calvin Hawkins was the most difficult. That's the one I did 2 years ago, and he ran at large in Prince George's County, so his jurisdiction is almost 1 million people. But he was the first person that was a friend of mine, and before campaign started. And it's almost like operating, if you're a doctor when you're friends, something you may not want to do. So that was tough. Angela also Brooks, when she ran for state attorney, she's the current county executive, and I ran her campaign for state's attorney. That was good because Angela and her whole team were all pretty much new, so they were easy because they just did everything you told them to do, and it ran real smooth. So yeah,
that's a good
and I should say I did not run her county
too.
exec, but I did run her state's attorney's campaign.
So what makes for a
So
great
those were some of the ones. Kevin Chavis in DC, he was a young council member at the time, young lawyer, and he was the first to beat that old guard, the old guard being people like Marion Barry. I'm sorry?
No, I said what you're saying is fantastic, and it just led to the question of, well, what makes
somebody that is passionate about people, somebody that's energetic, because campaigns are real physical, and at least the way we run campaigns, my model came from Larry Gibson, so it's 24/7 with us, and somebody that's
Got the delay
I'm
going
sorry,
on.
say that again.
We got a delay going on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
So, who is the Marion Barry of today? Who do we have to look up to today? Got a long delay there, Irvin. We can't hear you.
Okay.
It's going in. It's going in and out.
Okay. I could hear you, but I couldn't hear China.
Who's the Marion Barry of today, Irvin? Well, Irvin, we're gonna have to catch you better on another day. We got to get out of here, okay? The connection is not clear.
If you're gonna find another Marion,
yeah, it's freezing up, so we're just gonna cut this out.
Yeah, he was unapologetic for who he was and what he was trying to do and who he represented. So again,
okay.
Calvin.
Oh, the connection's not good.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut this.
Okay, I can hear you. China was going in and out on me.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll circle back on another day and try this another time, okay? Okay. So, China, tell me, what have you been up to as of late?
So as of late, working on financing. So trying to put together money to bring small businesses into a low-income Black and Brown community in Baltimore. And I have to tell you, it is hard. It's hard because when you're trying to put together money to put small businesses into a low-income Black and Brown community, it's difficult for people to believe that it can work. They want to see that the numbers work, and it's very difficult for the numbers to work. What people are used to financing is things that feed poverty, right? So if I wanted to do adult literacy or substance abuse counseling or anything like that in a low-income neighborhood, or food drive, anything like that, then the capital, I believe, would be much easier to come by, still challenging, but definitely easier because the market is used to funding that. But when we try to put things into a low-income Black and brown community, that would actually give it a real hook for economic viability, for the people to be able to thrive and grow wealth. That's the market's not used to doing that.
How do you see the landscape in Baltimore for your nonprofit in the next, 3 or 4 years?
So the landscape in Baltimore for the next 3 or 4 years, it's a challenging question to answer. And the reason that it's a challenging question to answer is that we need more money that's interested in coming into the city. The work that has to happen in the neighborhoods where I want to work relies so much on grant money and on subsidy. And I think that the outlook for that over the next 3 to 4 years is bleak unless Joe Biden comes into office and we're able to we win the 2 Senate races in Georgia, and we're able to get through some massive legislation that's going to make a lot more money available. I'm talking billions available within the next
China,
5 years.
I disagree with you.
Tell me why.
Billions have come through Baltimore. They never go to where they're needed.
I agree with that.
We don't need more money. We need the money that's already been allocated to go to where they said it was going to go. We need accountability.
Either way, I agree with that. We need accountability. I agree with that. And we need the money to go into the low-income Black and brown neighborhoods. Right now, philosophy is to build from a place of strength. And I take issue with that. Because to say that we're building from a place of strength, I get it, because it's easier to make the numbers work around those areas. So a place of strength for many people would be EBDI. A place of strength for many people would be somewhere around the water, somewhere around the biopark. In theory.
So let me go at you about EBDI, East Baltimore Development Incorporated. Now, I've covered the story for the past 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, some of the same people responsible for putting people out of East Baltimore then went to Park Heights and did the same thing up there. So we've heard the talk, but the end result is that there are fewer Black people living in Park Heights, and there are fewer Black people living in East Baltimore who thought they would be coming back to the area. And that never happens. Almost never.
No, I think that the statistic for EBDI right now, if I'm not mistaken, is that maybe around between 50, at best case, 70 families have come back into the area of the 753 families that were moved.
That's not a lot.
No, not at all. And I think that sometimes the number may get counted as higher because anything coming back into the general vicinity is counted as coming back, even if it's not specifically in that 88 acre footprint from which the family left. And so I wouldn't count anything that's outside of that 88 acre footprint. But I don't agree with how EBDI happened. The reality is that that's considered in the eyes of many a place of strength. And so then therefore, the development that does happen, even my own is on the border of it.
It's hard to swallow that, China, because we know that Johns Hopkins runs East Baltimore, if not Baltimore overall.
My philosophy is that instead of building from a place of strength, we actually need to work with law enforcement and build on top of where the violence is. If we don't build on top of where the violence is, we're not going to solve the crime. It means we have to get beyond we have to get beyond EBDI. We've got to get beyond the biopark, and we've got to figure out how do we create economic viability and basically these sort of abysses between these other places. Because
I want to get a word in.
Yeah.
That it's a source of strength for non-Black Baltimore, but in a majority Black city, their strength doesn't benefit us.
Right. No, I totally.
And it doesn't include us in their vision.
Yeah, that's correct. No, I completely get what you're saying. I'm repeating what others have said.
Oh, I don't know what they said.
Yeah, no, I'm repeating that. So that's where, so when we talk about where is the money going, to the extent that it's going into low-income Black and brown communities, it's going on the edges of these other areas. But we need money to go further out. We need money to get beyond the Baltimore pump house. We need money to get beyond our areas. People aren't willing to do that because the numbers don't work on paper, but we can make
no, that's
we have to drive businesses into the communities where we need them to be, and it has to be further out.
No, China.
You don't think the businesses need to be further out?
I don't think your reasoning is making sense.
Okay, tell me why.
They are a racist institution looking for the benefit of non-Blacks. It does not benefit the Black community. Whatever is happening over there, I have yet to see where it has benefited the Black community.
No, I'm not. You and I are not necessarily disagreeing. I'm not talking about Hopkins. I don't think anything needs to be driven by Johns Hopkins. What I'm saying is that we do not have the resources that we need going into low-income Black and brown communities in the city. And the reason that we don't have the resources getting into the heart of these communities is that the philosophy has been that we need to build around the edges of the areas like EBDI and the University of Maryland Biopark, and the harbor, or whatever the case may be. And I understand why people are saying that, but it doesn't work. Economically, what ends up happening is that we have whole swaths of Baltimore that end up just dropping off of a cliff, because the idea is that we're all of a sudden waiting for something to trickle north, for something to trickle into the low-income Black and brown community. But it can't.
We don't live off of a trickle, China. I need more than a trickle. And the Black community has been starved for decades, starved. So there's no wonder why there's violence where you're not investing. And that's what I don't understand about Fox Television. Every day they paint the story about how Black people are so bad for Baltimore City, but these morons refuse to invest in the Black community. So there's no wonder why there's violence, undereducation, underemployment, is because resources are not going to where they are needed the most. And these people are racist, and they have no intention on putting it with us.
What is the resource? And that is the operative question, because depending on who you ask, some people will say that the resource is more programs and services. That's not the resource.
I'm not in the programs. I'm in the entrepreneurship and business.
There you go. We need businesses. We need traditional businesses, and we need retail, because when we just put in low-income communities only programs and services without having it balanced by traditional business and retail, what happens is that the market gets suppressed. The people get trapped in their poverty. And the only thing that can then thrive in those communities are things that are basically keeping the poverty going.
So in my words, I would call it a welfare mentality.
I
would call it welfare.
That has lots of connotations.
Let me explain why.
Go ahead.
Programs essentially give you something if you do something, right?
If you do, or they give you something. I would just put it there. But
okay.
and in that, and I'm not going to say that's needed for in many instances.
If I give you a fish, you eat for today. You will not eat tomorrow. You will not eat tomorrow unless I say you eat tomorrow. And you come in here with a dirty urine, or I find out you got a man living with you that's not on the lease, or I find out that you've had 2 or 3 more children than you said, then I'm putting you out. So that's not empowerment. And it's not where African Americans come from traditionally in the sense of empowerment. Traditionally, we have done for ourselves. The problem is every time we do, somebody comes with some pushback, whether it's redlining, whether it's the Homestead Act, whether it's the bombing of Tulsa's Black Wall Street. There's always something, whether it's the medical apartheid. I mean, just yesterday, a bill passed in the House of Representatives calling attention to the Henrietta Lacks scenario. They want more money. Congressman Mfume wants more money to go to cancer research that involves Black people. Because since we're catching it so much, you know, you can't try your cures on white people and not try them on Black people and then apply those solutions you get from white people to Black people. You got to try them on Black people.
Right.
So it's a game. And we have to become owners. This is America. What's number one in America? Property.
Now you're talking my language. So, but listen, can I back up with one thing that you said? So in all of the examples that you gave, from medical apartheid to all of these various things, these are all sort of racist structures that have been imposed more or less by the majority in society, right? By whites. However, I think it goes beyond that. And I think that there's something that we miss in Baltimore City. A lot of those, many of those racist structures here in our city are upheld by our Black political class. And so sometimes when we talk about
so see, you throw those different things out, and we gotta knock them down one by one. The Black political class has not been in tune with the everyday person.
I'm not going to say that, but what I am going to say is that I think that we all need to work harder and understand more about what's actually holding those structures in place and what it is that we can do to undo it. Because I do believe we have the power to undo inequality. And sometimes when we talk about structural racism, the conversation stops and the ideas stop and the solutions stop. And people resign themselves to the fact, well, that's the way that it's always been. And right now, it's almost as though the mere acknowledgement of it is enough. And then that's all you have to do. And saying it means that, you know, we're somehow in a better place as a city, or people are better off. But saying it doesn't change people's lives. Right now, we have, and we have always had, a Black mayor. We have a majority Black city council.
We've not always had a Black mayor. We've had a Black mayor since '99.
Yeah, fair enough. Sorry. And recent,
well, we had one for 12 years. Correct. Actually, we had in Dewberry, so say 13 years. Correct. And then the O'Malley era from '99.
Oh, right, O'Malley. Sorry about that. You're right about that. Yep, you're right about that. But in recent times, since the Great Awakening, if you will, you know, we've had a Black mayor since the Great Awakening.
I'm gonna tell you what we have not had, China. We've not had political leadership. We've not had Black political leadership. And the reason because who we did have died. That would be your chair of House Appropriations, Stephanie Rawlins, Blake's father, Pete Rawlins.
Right.
He's the one that gave O'Malley the pat on the back. He's dead. And then there was Senator Clarence Blount. Those two were the political head of Black Baltimore. Since their death, there's been no leadership whatsoever.
I'm not willing to go that far. I'm not willing to indict en masse every single person who's run. I can't.
It's not your job. It's my job. I'm here to tell you crap.
I think there are a lot of great people. I think there are a lot of great people who are running, who have run, who just recently won, who have been in office for probably like the past 5 or 6 years. I think that the issue is everyone coming together around what are we going to do to undo it? What is the coherent strategy, the coherent vision? What is like the big, you know, plan to actually build the new system and the equitable system? How are we finishing Dr. Martin Luther King's work on?
They don't care about Dr. King.
Well, that's the part where I think there's the opportunity. I feel that right now there is an incredible opportunity for everyone to come together around putting together a specific plan of action on finishing Dr. King's dream, which was economic equality.
Why did Dr. King get killed?
Fighting for economic equality, fighting for fair money and fair pay.
And you think they've changed?
Who is they?
White powers that be.
I feel like it's not as abstract as all that. That's the part that I disagree
You
with.
know my real problem, China?
It's not just white power at this point. I'm telling you, the comptroller in Baltimore City is black. The comptroller before the new one was black. We have a black mayor. The several mayors before that mayor were black.
You're missing a key
largely white. So it's not just white power.
China Terrell, you're missing a point.
Okay.
Quite often these people have these positions, but they don't have their own mind. There's no way you can have blacks in all of these positions and not effect change unless these people are in essence powerless.
What I think they
get in there.
People are not doing is coming together.
No, I disagree. They get in there. They say all of this nice stuff. We're for the people. I have a dream. Thou shalt not steal. I'm against corruption. I'm for transparency. And as soon as they get in there, they drink the Kool-Aid and all of that goes straight out the window. North Avenue has not changed in my lifetime. I'm 55, double nickel.
So here's the physical change to North Avenue, but it's not a meaningful change in terms of how people live.
They got one lane. All I pay to drive a car, you got one lane? Ain't nobody in the bike lanes, China.
But let me explain, and not yet, but listen, let me explain something about North Avenue. I think that there's hope in this.
Why do I gotta wait on a bike lane?
Okay. North Avenue has something that I don't see in most of Baltimore. Maybe most is a very strong word, but it has pedestrian street lamps. And in the low-income neighborhoods where I work, and they're not all majority black. I mean, some of them are very racially mixed. I mean, Carrollton Ridge. But in the low-income neighborhoods where I am, there are no street lights, no pedestrian level street lamps. And that is a huge quality.
Are you talking about from 83 up to North and Linden, North in Utah? That whole swath of land that they knocked down the apartments, put those black people out, hoping Micah or one of those other entities would come and do something?
What?
That was urban removal. That was urban removal. Yeah. Right there where Nick Mosby lives. They called it Murder Mall. They got rid of the whole thing with no intention ever on bringing black people back to that area.
And that part, I disagree with, only because I think that the developer of that particular project lives in that neighborhood, and he is extremely socially conscious.
Who's the developer?
David Bramble. And so he's extremely socially conscious, and he very much cares about that community. And he has absolutely made a 100% commitment to make sure that it's culturally sensitive and culturally relevant, in that it's happening in a way that builds wealth for people.
Okay, so let me say this. This is a majority black city. David Bramble, son of Joy Bramble, Baltimore Times newspaper, black newspaper. And you mean to tell me they can't get that project on North Avenue going in a majority black? If this were Atlanta, that would have been done 5 years ago.
Well, it's happening now. It's always more complicated. So the thing that I think is the issue.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It is. The thing that I think is the issue today is that not everything is a binary. Not everything is either this or that. I mean, there's stuff that happens in the middle, right? And so, for example, one of my projects, I've had to deal with Amtrak. I know that one of the big, not the only thing, but one of the big things that they've had to deal with that particular project is Amtrak and making sure they had the rights to build underground. One of the very expensive things that happens in construction is if you start and then you have to stop, that's a nightmare. You don't want to demobilize. You want to be able to build and keep going until it's done. I unfortunately have, had a project that has had to demobilize, usually because of access to capital, usually because of money. And it's just not the way to do a project. And so right now, I believe my understanding is that project is finally, after 4 years, getting off the ground and beginning to go, and the negotiations with Amtrak are almost to a close. So the developers leading that work are reaching out at all of the community associations and talking to people about what's happening and what the vision is. And
by the time they get done with that,
hope around that. And I mean, I think that what they're planning or hoping to put there is necessary to build wealth for people.
By the time they get China, by the time they get done, Black people will be dead.
Okay, so now that I think is a very important issue, because even with the project that I have, it cost only $27 million. And do you realize I am on a 10-year timeline for completion? To me, that is absolutely disgraceful in this.
China, North and Charles was developed overnight.
What do you mean by that? Talk to me.
There was nothing at North and Charles. All of a sudden, there's all of the attention and resources and city political will all at once. And North and Charles has been transformed literally overnight. There are Black communities a mile east, a mile west that have not been touched, where people live, where people pay taxes. We know the city. We know how they invest. They do not invest in the Black community. And you can paint any picture you want, but I'm jaded from what they've done. I see it.
Yeah, and I believe that we need a third template for development in the city. We have only 2 models for development. The first model is that if we want to bring in businesses and hotels and services and things that everybody wants, regardless of their race or their income level, then we are asking anyone in that community that makes less than 40% of the area median income to move out. The second model is that we say, oh, okay, we want to invest, and we're not asking anyone to move, but then we're going to put only nonprofits into the community, and we're going to do only affordable housing. And that stifles the market, and it makes, the market doesn't grow. There's not the market value being created that could otherwise be created. People don't build wealth, and that doesn't work either. So I believe that we need a third model for development in this city. And that model has to be that instead of building from areas of so-called strength, that we're actually deciding that we're going to build on top of where the violence has been. I believe that we have to buy businesses into the communities where they are unwilling to go. What does that mean? That means that we have to say, come over here. We're going to pay for this building to be redeveloped for you. We're going to provide you the first year, 5 years, completely lease free. You don't have to pay for your fit out. All you have to do is commit to be in this community for X number of years. I think that we have to be willing to put the money behind buying businesses into the communities where we need them to be. And that has been a very controversial position of mine, but guess what made it more palatable?
What?
Paycheck protection. So I've been talking about grants for small businesses forever. But the first time that anybody really began to think about it was when all of a sudden coronavirus hit, and we got every single business in the United States was able to get 2.5 months of operating costs completely free.
Not every business.
Right. Not every business got that.
That's a broad statement. Not every business. Right. Matter of fact, Black businesses were among the last to get any, and upper or wealthy white businesses were among the first.
Right. I mean, that's how the structure works. That's right. What's positive, though, is that program established a precedent that you can do grants for small businesses, and it can be very successful. It can work. Gun violence has done the same thing to low-income Black and brown communities that coronavirus has done.
Okay. So put a plug in for your nonprofit, China. Then you go put
American Communities Trust. We're working very hard to complete a $27 million high impact commerce strategy. We're putting small businesses into low-income Black and brown neighborhoods. Here's what we need. We continue to need grant money to make sure that we can keep the lease rates low for the small businesses coming in. That's more true now after coronavirus, with the bottom dropping out of the commercial real estate market. And then in addition, we need strong anchor tenants. So if you are in need of space and you're looking for somewhere to go, I would highly encourage you to please consider the Baltimore Pump House. We have 1 building remaining to lease. And so we are looking forward to making sure that gets pre-leased so we can finish this $27 million project. We're $12.5 million in.
All right, Charles Terrell, that'll have to be your final word on your project. I'm going to pay closer attention to what you're talking about. You're using these fancy words.
I'm saying build on top of the violence. Don't build from so-called areas of strength. Reject the trickle down. I'm saying buy businesses into the communities where we need them to be. Just put it there and put it there with free money. That's what I'm saying. It's a bit it's radical a little bit.
They don't give away.
So was patient protection.
Okay, fine. You know what? I've learned I'm smart enough not to argue with you. Okay, we have with us Ambre Anderson. Do you know Ambre, China?
I don't, but I love the way Ambre spells her name. Ambre.
She's a unique person. She's a supermodel. She's an author. She's an actress. She's been in movies. She's been in films. Straight out of Baltimore.
Ambre, are you an actress? I'm an excellent actress as well.
Yes, you are.
You gotta be.
No. I took acting classes for an entire year and I absolutely loved it.
Where?
In Minneapolis. I was living in Minneapolis at the time. I'm from PG County, Maryland. I live in Baltimore now. And but at the time I lived in Minneapolis and I took small group acting classes with someone who used to be a regular on Star Trek.
Oh, wow.
So who's the someone? LeVar Burton?
Yeah, well, we know him.
Oh, no. She wasn't a regular cast member, but she wasn't a regular cast member, but she had been on Star Trek doing various things. Yeah.
That helps. She had the inside scoop.
But China, let me tell you, this lady has the hustle of Baltimore all in her DNA. No, seriously, she is the most reinventing serial entrepreneur that you've met.
All right, well, talk to us about it. Where does that grit come from?
I appreciate that. I think the grit comes from partially moving to New York and just trying to make things happen. Wait,
are you saying the grit is New York grit or is it Baltimore grit?
Well, I'm Baltimore born and bred. And then I've been in New York for 20 years.
Okay.
So my adult life, basically, I've been in New York. But, I feel like being from Baltimore, there's nothing that I can't handle. You know what I mean?
And you got a brother that's strapped.
And my brother works out. My brother's a big guy, but yeah, that's what I was. So I had a screening that Donnie came to. I wrote a TV pilot and we shot it. I put maybe 15, 20 of my closest actor friends in it.
Now you have 21.
Now I know. But we got it into 5 film festivals. And after 5 film festivals, I was like, why don't I just rent a theater out myself and fill up the seats? Because that's what the film festivals do. I'm bringing all of my resources, right?
Right.
Hello. Hello. So Donnie came through. We had a screening in Baltimore. We had 4 screenings in Baltimore. And
that's amazing. Well, what was the show? I mean, how is it doing?
So the name of the show is called Miss Renaissance, and it's a TV pilot about a woman trying to find her dream career. Mm-hmm. So she goes to a temp agency, like a special temp agency that sends her out on all these potential dream jobs. And she just goes out and ruins all of them, just one by one. It's a sketch comedy. So during COVID, since you can't really shoot, I've just been finishing up episode 2. But it's been fun, getting my baby Tyler Perry on with like, wait a minute, we don't have to.
Or your baby Spike Lee.
Right. Spike Lee would have it that way for sure.
Hey, Amber.
Hi.
It's great seeing you. I see you are rocking and rolling, girl. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You still in New York?
Yeah, I'm in New York right now. So I have an episode of Ghost, which is a spinoff of Power, coming out on the 20th. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
What?
So you guys heard of Power, right? Power.
Yes.
Yeah. 50.
Right. So they have 3 spinoffs coming out right now that are shooting right now, and the first one is called Ghost. And my second episode will be not this Sunday, but next Sunday. But spoiler alert, I'm a bad guy.
I can't see that. That's going to be interesting. I bet you play the heck out of that part too.
I appreciate that.
But when you say coming out, coming out where? What?
It's on Stars.
Ah, got it. Oh,
yeah.
Fantastic. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, Stars. Yeah, get ready for the drama.
Is it like a fixed time where we have to sit down and watch Stars, or is it something you can just stream?
You can stream it also, but they're releasing the episodes one at a time. So
okay,
you can stream everything that's happened previously, but not the newer episodes until they've aired.
I love it.
Miss Renaissance.
Thank you.
Congratulations, girl. That's powerful.
I appreciate it. It's a hustle, like Donnie was saying. It's all about the hustle.
Well, but you've been hustling for a minute.
I have.
Right?
I have.
So
and the funny thing, I appreciate it. I was in Atlanta. I was doing a callback at Tyler Perry Studios.
Nice.
And I saw someone I knew who's an actor, but he's been in the game. Like, he's been big for a while, or semi-big. And he looked at me, he's like, girl, you've been at this for a while. I really hope you get this job. I'm like, I know, I'm not letting go. Pointless.
But you did it on your own terms,
right.
Amber.
Thank you.
That's what we know about you.
Yep.
We know you did it on your own terms.
With dignity.
Thank you. That's very, very kind of you.
It's really huge. And you've always remained the same. And I'm just grateful for the foundation that you had, the parents that you have, and helping you lay that foundation and not waver on who you are. And that's huge.
I appreciate that. You can't go back from how you're raised and who you're brought up to be. I feel like, I'm representing Marsha and Kurt through everything.
Yep. That's right.
When they're like, hey, will you do this? I'm like, I got parents watching. You know what I mean?
Parents that will be here in 5 minutes, by the way.
Right. They will show up. So at my screenings, my dad personally stood in the doorway and shook every single hand in New York and in Baltimore. And then told me later, like, oh, I like your friend such and such who went to this school, who drives this car. I'm like, how are you doing that?
Right.
How is that possible?
Right.
But yeah.
But yeah, for a minute.
I have been. But
No, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, anything you hold on to and you keep at is inevitable. You just believe in yourself. You keep going hard. You keep fixing the mistakes as you go along.
I like that. I'm going to write that down. Anything that you hold on to and keep at is inevitable.
It's inevitable. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest dream ever, but it doesn't matter. It's inevitable if you keep at it and you stay positive, you keep working, and you fix your mistakes along the way, because you can't know everything right now. So.
Right.
Hey, Marsha Jews, you lived in New York City.
Yes, Harlem.
How difficult is it for a woman in New York City to make it?
New York City is hard. People are not playing up there. They come with a dream and they're like, we're going to take all prisoners, take no prisoners, because I came here to make this happen. I'm going to make it happen and get out my way. Am I right or wrong?
That's really real. It's like, just trying to go to the post office yesterday. I was like, you know what? Y'all not going to take Jesus out of me today. Okay? No, I ain't going to do it. Right. So like the post office and COVID, they just don't go together. But I just had a package that was prepaid that I needed to drop off. A normal post office has a box where you can just throw it in, or a drawer where you can put it in. This place made you stand in a line wrapped around the building for something that was prepaid. And I'm like talking to different people, employees, like, can I just leave it? No, it's COVID. I'm like, oh, so for COVID, you want more people here? Okay.
Right.
Amber, how is it living in an epicenter of the pandemic?
Right.
And remaining positive, productive, fruitful, creative?
I think it's the sink or swim era, right? Mm-hmm. Either you let it get a hold of you and depress you and stagger you, or you look at it as an opportunity to grow and build. So if you're in the house and there's nothing to do, okay, well, maybe I can't shoot my episode, but I can certainly write another one. And I took this opportunity to start an acting class on Zoom. And I had an outline for it sitting on my desk for 2 years, but I never had the...
Wait a minute. I'll take that acting class. Can I sign up for it?
I'm in the chat. I'll put the name of my website in the chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and then things started to build. But I mean, things started to open back up in New York. We're technically not the epicenter anymore. Baltimore is on that list, which is crazy. But I listened to a program on the radio as I was driving somewhere the other day where they said coronavirus is now the #1 killer in the United States, above heart disease, above cancer, which blows my mind because I'm just like, it's so real. And for something to be that real and people not take it seriously, that's the real scary issue. But
your mom's a doctor, Amber?
Yes, my mom's a doctor. She's still going strong. She's still seeing patients. And, you know, we just got to be careful. She's being extra careful, though. Like in between every patient, they're changing all of their gear, you know, spraying down the entire room. The entire office has a span between each patient, you know, to kind of like air it out before someone else can come. But Dr. Henson and Woodlawn, still going strong during the pandemic. But yeah, so things started to open up here in New York and, you know, you're back to hustling, grinding, but now you gotta go through all these protocol procedures. The coronavirus tests they're real fun to do every different job you go to, but hey.
You stuck the joint up your nose?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like the most invasive, but somehow simultaneously hilarious thing ever. Cause I'm just like, someone is shoving something up my nose. I cannot take it, but here I am to get this job. Whatever you got, just give it to me so I can keep it moving. But,
are you seeing people walking? Are people, New York is a food town, right?
Yeah.
What about restaurants and the carts on the corner and all of that? How does that impact?
I have not seen the carts on the corner. And I wouldn't go to them anyway if they were there.
But no question.
Yeah, I have not seen those lately. And if you go in Manhattan, it's kind of been like a ghost town. Like there'll be traffic here and there, but not like it was.
Okay.
But a lot of restaurants are operating at 25 to 50%, and they'll have these glass partitions.
Right.
But most of my friends still won't do that. They're like, that's lovely, no. But they also have, everybody's pulling their establishments outside. So parking is crazy because they've taken up basically just where those parking spots were. Right. The parallel parking spots were and put up the temporary seating. But it's interesting because now that it's getting cold, it's in an enclosed, new structure, enclosed area. Right. With the gas.
With no roof though, right?
With the roof too. It's just like, like being inside.
Right. But how's the ventilation happening?
Exactly. Well, they have one side, you know, where the server will come in, but for the most part, it's closed off. I'm like, this is the same thing. Right. Except now we're all cold.
Right. How about the subways? Are you a subway girl or?
I was, and I plan to be again, but I have not gotten on the subway in 2020. And I keep.
Well, how are you getting around then?
Driving.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So I guess, I mean, are there enough parking spaces for everybody to do that? I don't know how that.
I think that a lot of people left New York. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, rush hour is still crazy. But
I mean, the friends that we have in New York left New York.
Yeah. If anybody had a better plan, they left.
But the friends that we have in New York are wealthy, and so they have the means to be mobile, right? And they take their jobs with them, you know, when they can work wherever, you know.
Yeah. So anybody who had a different plan left. Also, this is now the age of Zoom, right? And online platforms. So more people are finding they don't have to be at a particular place. They can work anywhere in any city. And it'll be really interesting to see what actually needs to open back up next year in 2021.
What do you suggest?
In terms of
things opening back up, what would you like to see? What makes sense to you?
Well, it's funny, as an actress, I've been doing all my auditions online, but it definitely—
Is that effective?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It takes away that element that we're so used to with meeting the casting director, having that. There is, like, you know, I'm meeting you all now, right? And I'm getting to see your faces, but there's still a human element when we're in the same room.
Right.
And that's
true. But the only thing is that online, I guess if I'm a director, I get a better sense of immediately sort of your kind of screen test, right? Like how the camera loves you or doesn't love you, how it's going to translate, right?
Well, the interesting about that is, even though you meet them in person, they still have a big TV in front of them. They're operating the camera and they're looking at it simultaneously.
Got it. They're looking at you on the screen. And on the screen. Got it.
It's a comparative study, basically.
Exactly.
How it translates.
Yeah, it's just now I can see what kind of pants you wore.
or how you wear them and how you walk with it. Because
exactly.
You can't even see that, and that body, they're looking for the style and the shape of that's all of that. It's a totality of an individual.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I know you got it though.
Thank you.
Well, I just looked up your IMDb profile and I'm very proud of you. I definitely probably all of the first season of Gotham. I saw that you were in that. You know, I'm pretty sure I watched all of the first season of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I saw you had a part in that. And I think the woman who plays Kimmy Schmidt went to undergrad with my husband. And so they know one another. You know, I doubt that he's reached out to her or anything like that since school probably, but in any event, so I think it's amazing. I love to see, especially more women of color, more people of color in general succeeding in Hollywood. I think it's in writing in Hollywood.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely not an easy hustle, but like I said, just keep at it.
How long has this acting career been now? 5 years?
It's been 7 years where 7 years where I'm just straight like, this is my passion.
Committed.
I know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it a hustle for you, Amber. I'm going to call it a calling. Can I change the language for us right now?
I love it. Yeah,
okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, Madam Mayor. Okay, 7 years as an actress. Before that, an author?
Before that, children's book author.
How many years?
You
push, was it Artwork by Amber, right?
Artwork by Amber. So I went to Howard, HU. And I majored in fine art. I have a degree in fine art. So I always wanted to do something with art, but I didn't know if it was my true calling. So I have an online art gallery, artworkbyamber.com. It has like 70 paintings up there and my children's book. So the children's book, I decided, you know what? How do I get this book out? It's not enough to be like, hey, I created a book. Let me just spam everybody. I decided to go to elementary schools and cold call and go there and sit down and all the connections I could make and create this assembly. And because I've been doing acting, but it got serious recently. But because I'm also an actor, I did an iBook with the voiceover and, you know, got on GarageBand and did like the background music so I can create like this moving movie, right, of the book.
Great.
So when I go to schools, I can present it as an assembly. The movie's in the back. I stop the movie. Hey guys, who wants to get up here and, you know, jump like a kangaroo or move in place like a turtle or run fast like a cheetah, you know, for different parts of the book. So it became this assembly that I got into 15 schools in New York and New Jersey. And every single one was cold calling, going to schools. And at one point I was going to barbershops and beauty salons, literally selling books out of my backpack. Just walking in the door, making a
I love it. Isn't that what Spike Lee did?
Yeah,
He's out of his trunk.
That was when Amber was really on the hustle, on the grind, and she was serious about it. I remember she would go, and I couldn't see why she was doing it, but I get the bigger picture now, Amber. But that was when you were really grinding. You like, you gonna cover this? We covering these kids.
Right. I was like, I made this book, somebody gonna see it. It's a good book. It's for the kids now. So it'll be, like very scary to go into a place where you don't know how they're gonna receive you in New York City. And
they love her.
Right. Like, I mean, some places love me more than others, but you walk in, I'm like, hi, I'm Ambre Anderson. I'm a children's book author. I wrote this book. I think it's really good for the kids. It's, about promoting confidence. If you're interested, I have them right now. It's, 2 for whatever. And I'd show the book, and I'd be in some beauty salons and somebody would turn around and be like, boo-boo, I'll take 2.
Right.
And then it would start a chain reaction, like, I'll take 2. I'm a school teacher. By the way, this is my school. You should come by. I'm a principal. By the way, come to my office. I think you should be in my school. So that kind of thing started because I was just starting grassroots. But when you go in and you meet people individually, things start panning out and building from there. So, but don't get me wrong. I went in some places where I'd be like, hi, I have the book, do my whole spiel. And they'd be like, and I'm like, all right, thank you.
But Amber, selling the book, promoting the book, was that like preparatory training for what you're doing now? I mean, because you were literally doing push-ups, and I mean, because it's different than modeling. Clearly, it's a whole different hustle.
It's a different world.
Here's the thing about modeling. Acting, the children's book, like the whole entertainment thing. You don't get one job and show up to that job every day and get a check every other week, right? Every single check that you make is because of a different audition, interview, connection, hustle, networking, event, what have you. So none of it was like no bill. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes things recur for a little while, but when you're in the acting business, when you have a book, when you're in the modeling game, everything is so one-off that you have to make it happen for every job that you get. And essentially every job that you get could be your last job if you don't get up and make it happen. So anytime people tell me like about benefits, I'm just like, oh, those sound awesome. Benefits.
What's that?
Right. What are those? But, you make it happen the best way you can in your industry. And with this particular industry, it's hustle for each and every job. So it ties in. And then that's why, I create a TV show, and I'm like, it didn't take me long to be like, why am I putting this in film festivals? I can do everything they're doing if I'm inviting all my resources to come, right?
Right.
I can run out of theater. If I already wrote, directed, and starred in this film, I think I can run out of theater and get people in here. So
no question.
So Amber, is Roku an option for you? The Roku network? Because I understand that's a place where emerging producers, artists are putting their work, the Roku channel.
So Roku, Netflix, people have actually approached me for smaller networks also. They would be good. You just need to have either a good production package behind you, meaning the money already where you're shooting this thing and it's a done deal.
Right.
There are limited places not limited places, but you got to get in the groove to find someone who wants to develop you. But I also had someone who was just like, hey, you put your stuff up, and if anything happens, we'll give you the money. But I'm like, well, I know for sure if I put it up in a theater, how much money I'll make. So you're talking about a percentage of a percentage of a percentage. Versus, if I do it myself, I know that I can get this amount. So unless you're coming at me with, you know, dollars that make sense, then it's not for me. But thank you.
Are you getting sponsors?
Not for the TV show, not yet. But I did have a couple of people come to me who came to the show and said, this is a great idea. Whatever help you need, I will help you. And also, I got a new agent that way. Okay. A friend of mine was just like, yeah, I think you should be with my agency. If you did all of this,
right.
Do is act.
Right. That's exactly right. Good.
So Amber,
the potential.
Do you ever see yourself running your own agency? You know, I want you to be the boss. I want you to just make a phone call and say, put them on, make this happen, blah, blah, blah. That's what I foresee.
Right. I see myself more in a role of, well, first of all, acting is my passion.
Right,
you know? So having a show where I'm the lead, but also I'm an executive producer would be awesome. You know, like 50 is doing and Tyler and some other folks. But Issa Rae and Donnie Glover.
We're proud of you, Amber. You make us so proud.
Yeah.
I got to get my last question in because I know Marcia and China have one. But any advice for dads? We live in a city, Baltimore. The Black family structure has been fractured, cracked, broken, bent. How important is it for daddy to be in his daughter's life, in his children's life?
It's 100% important. Yeah, it's 100% important. Dads have a role that's different from moms, right? Moms are nurturing. That's what you want and expect from a mom. For her to, and that's the sound of New York in the background. But moms are nurturing and moms are supporting you no matter what. Dads are the ones who will, I think, push you, right? And even instill upon you what the real world is. I was telling a story before that I was trying to put my children's book in the Baltimore school system. And I was filling out all this paperwork. And after a certain amount of time, someone came back to me and said, oh, you can't, it was like months of me doing this paperwork, right? So finally I had done everything. I was calling and calling. And then I was like, so I'm done. You know, is there anything else? They're like, okay, wait a minute. You can't be in the school system. You only have the one book. And I'm like, well, you knew that months ago.
Right.
Yeah, well, sorry. That was something we overlooked and you can't have it in the school system and it's not possible, even though it had been months of me working on getting this through. So I called my dad, like so flustered, so frustrated, like, Dad, after all this time, this is what happened. And he's like, no one owes you anything. If somebody owes you anything, they don't even know you. They have their job to do. And the only job you have to do is yours. If you want a door open, you kick it down. You get through that door, but it's nobody's job but yours. And I'm like, okay. But that's real, right? Mothers aren't going to say that to you. Moms will sit on the phone and be like, those jerks, not my baby. You know what I mean? But which one was it?
You just taught me something, kid.
Yeah, I hope so.
Don't sugarcoat it for the baby girl. Give her the raw. And I'd rather do it than have the world do it.
Right. But also be real with them.
Yes.
So that they understand. Because if it comes from you, then it's like the one person I know who's in my corner even says this, right? The one person who I know is, no matter what, has my back, still says they don't owe you nothing. You kick the door down yourself.
Right. Because that's real.
That's
and
real.
You have to function in a reality-based environment because anything else is going to do nothing but hurt you or destroy you.
Exactly.
Well, I'm proud to report to you, Amber, that having taken your advice for years, I am now not just a granddaddy. My little girl had a daughter, but she's also been in business for herself for 3 years. She's 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just opened a
And his
location.
grandson is cute. Oh man, those little legs are fat.
Congratulations.
And he's got a head full of
That's
hair.
huge.
So we don't want to steal your time. Please put your contact information, and then we'll go around the horn. Amber, Marsha, China, please tell everybody how to get in touch with you. We are proud of you, and thank you for answering the call. But we are proud of you. We're watching you. We support you, Amber.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. It helps, to come home and feel the love. So definitely appreciate it. It's good seeing you, Marsha.
I know, it's been too long. It's good seeing you. I'm going to put my information up and let's chat. Okay. So I'll do that right now.
You look beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. And so you're trying to be like, I'm trying to be like you when I grow up.
Marsha Reeves is the Lena Horne of Baltimore.
Oh, girl, you don't have nothing else to say. I know you got something else to say, China. Don't even try it. Do not try it with your bad self and all the wonderful things that you've been doing. And we're really proud of you. Really proud of you. We're proud of Donnie because he is dealing with this whole BmoreNews.com and the news before the news is real. And we're grateful to have you, Donnie, to do all of this. We wouldn't be able to.
Absolutely.
I don't know anybody else is doing what you do. And you're so hardcore and straight up about it.
Definitely. We're bringing people together. That's
it's huge. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pray for all of you. And thank you so much for being here today. God has blessed us all. And with our intelligence and your beauty, you guys are really wonderful. And we're just grateful that you could come and join us.
Thank you. That was very well said.
Thank you so much. Well, I can't wait to check out this acting class.
Yay! Okay.
That is going to be the thing that I do for myself this year. And I'm going to tell my husband for Christmas, I would like acting classes by Amber, please.
I think that's a wonderful thing for you to do because with acting classes, it also prepares you on how to sit in front of those meetings that you want to have where you all are trying to do all the things that you do. You need to have all of that. And I'm sure Amber has taken all that information and put it in a nice package on how to deal. Well, that's real. There's a way you have to present yourself. All of that.
A lot of professionals that take improv classes, especially to learn how to lead better with their teams, how to respond better on their feet. Yeah, absolutely. But I just have always enjoyed it. Acting, finding your inner truth. There's something very therapeutic and cathartic about it. Yeah.
Well, one thing everybody can take away, no matter what career you're in, with acting. First of all, life and career is all about promotion, right? You need to get your product out. You need to get the word out about what you're doing. One thing that actors do that if everybody else did in life would soar is before we start out, there's the preparation, right? You got to prepare,
right?
Whatever it is. But here's your spiel. What is your intention, right?
Right.
Kind of know, but no one stops and is like, what is my intention? What is my clear intention today?
Right.
All right. So now, how am I going to systematically hit that intention? And that's where every word you say or everything you present, it supports that intention, but you're doing it in different ways.
Right.
What you are doing, your action, right, is a different way. So let's say I am trying to sell you on something. Well, am I going to flatter you? How deep am I going to go into flattery, right? Am I going to entice you? Am I going to manipulate you? And, but let me have all the list of the different ways that I'm going to go about this. So it's not one note. All she did was flatter me the whole time. It got boring, right? Didn't feel genuine. Or all she did was try to manipulate me, or whatever it is. But you go in with that intention, and every single thing that you hit along the way supports that intention, but it's in a different color.
Right.
So that's what acting is. I'm going to say this thing, but every time I say something different to you, it supports what I want, but
Right.
just in a different way, right? And I've thought that through. So, and I think that would help with anything that you do.
Did you write this in a book? Did you read this in a book?
We got a mini acting class. We just got a sample right there.
Yeah, that's a sample of the acting class that really can help no matter what you're doing. But because someone asked me that one time, like, what if I'm not an actor? What can I get? And that was part of it.
Right.
I sat in on someone else
acting classes in Minneapolis. I was a corporate lawyer, and I used that every day because you're filtering everything that I'm doing through a singular intention. There was a lot of power in that, you know. It's very meditative to just think through what you're trying to put through to the world.
Absolutely. The power is in the preparation.
Exactly right.
Before you got there. All the work that you've done and the research that takes. It's not something you just throw together, right?
Right.
Knowing what those actions are and the research that it takes to do all those things. Because I'm not going to sell this person unless I know who this person is, unless I know the backstory, you know?
Understanding it.
Right. Yeah. So it's helpful no matter what you do. But yeah, thank you, Donnie.
Thank you, Donnie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Donnie Glover.
Wonderful.
Do you want to go around and share your contact information, anybody?
I put China at actimpact.com. I can talk about small businesses going into low-income communities all day long. If anybody needs a space to lease, which I know is very challenging in this market, but there are still people out there who need space. Or if anyone wants to talk about the financial structure and help get that set up, that would be amazing.
Marsha Jews?
You can reach me, marshajews@gmail.com. And we're doing all kinds of consulting, from diversity, inclusion, equity to public relations. We have a weekly newsletter. We're interested in stories. We're doing free advertising to the end of the year. And just get in touch with me and we'll figure it all out and see how we can help.
You got the final word, Amber.
All right. So you can go to artworkbyamber.com for the children's book and the art. And then you can go to ambreanderson.com/coach me for the acting classes. And looking forward to seeing you guys there.
Best wishes to you all.
Good deal. Thank you, women, for joining us today. And we'll see you next time on the BmoreNews Morning Show.
Thanks again, Donnie.
Bye.
Thank you.